Hello, my name is Ryan Johnson. This is my report on the Constitution Party, one of the political parties of the United States, for the government course at Bethany Lutheran College. So just going in the order that the sample was given to us and the format that were given. The background of the Constitution Party, their chairperson is currently Frank Folkinger, which is a weird name, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce that correctly. But they have no U.S. House leader, no U.S. Senate leader, and no chair of Governors Association. This goes with the amount that they have had in elections. They haven't had any significant election wins, and so therefore they would not have any House representatives, Senate representatives, or governors, which you would need more than one for there to be a leader of those houses. So, going on to the next one, the founders of this party are Darrell Castle and Howard Phillips. They were preceded by Michael Peroutka, and their motto is integrity, liberty, and prosperity. Their mission statement, as taken directly from their webpage and quoted here, is the mission of the Constitution Party is to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and the prosperity through the election at all levels of government of the Constitution Party candidates who will uphold the principles of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, and the Bill of Rights. It is our goal to limit the federal government to its delegated, enumerated, and constitutional functions. This is a major trend throughout all of the beliefs of the Constitution Party, that they believe solely in the sorry, I need to catch my breath a little bit there. They believe solely in the Constitution and the powers that were given from the beginning, and as well as of course, the Bill of Rights and even the Declaration of Independence, which does not have many rights given, but has a few key things stated. Their affiliates, the party has affiliates in all 50 states, going under many different names. They don't have a uniform name with all their affiliates, such as the American Constitution Party in Colorado and the Constitution Party of Minnesota, which is, of course, in Minnesota. But they go under completely different names in all those, and their colors are red, white, and blue as according to the colors of the American flag. So next we have history. The founding history. This party was created in 1992 by Howard Phillips and Darrell Castle. It was originally called the U.S. Taxpayers Party. It was founded on the principles of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and the Bible. Which is interesting because, as contrary to many political parties, they believe that the Bible goes hand in hand with these documents and is as important as these documents in their eyes. Of course, many people believe this already, but it is something different for a political party to recognize this. 20th century history, of course, most of the party's history has happened in the 21st century. Its founding was in the 20th century. The party does not have much history since its founding in 1992. Most history of the party involves nomination of presidential candidates. Their website only references their presidential nominees. So I'll just list the candidates here. And so for the elections of 1992 through 2000, they nominated co-founder Howard Phillips for presidential candidate. For 2004, it was Michael Peroutka, presidential candidate. Chuck Baldwin was next in 2008, Virgil Goody in 2012, and their other co-founder, Darrell Castle, in 2016. So, election history. The party put up its first member for election in its founding year in the election of 1992. The first candidate was Howard Phillips, co-founder and chairman, as well as a self-proclaimed grassroots lobbyist. The most recent candidate was in 2016, of course. The candidate was the other co-founder, Darrell Castle. Since the creation of the party, no candidate has ever won or achieved even 0.5% of a vote. The most votes the party has received is roughly 200,000 votes in 2016, which is about 0.2%. No, I'm sorry. It's it's 0.2% of a vote. And that is not very much. That is most likely because of the perceived nature of both of the candidates in it, and people were looking for third-party candidates, so they received more votes in that sense. The party has been just as successful, if not a little more successful, in the House and Senate, bringing up more votes overall, but still about 1/10 of a vote, of the voting percentage. Offices sought. Representatives of this party have ran for everything from city council to president. Recent victories. The party now has 25 members in elected office. The states these people are elected in is Alabama, Alaska, Illinois, Louisiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Utah, Washington, and Wisconsin. These victories are on local levels and are mostly city councils and district boards. About the party, ideology and political positions. They do not have many real policies on many issues. The party's belief and statements on political issues are completely reliant on what the Constitution says. They only state what they can back up with constitutional proof. This is much less like an opinionated party and more like a research paper. For economic stances, even though they back it up with constitutional proof, they write stances based on what they think the Constitution would back up. So with their ideology and political positions, with the economic, they have no real fiscal policies, economic policies, but believe that the government's only economic responsibility is to coin money and regulate the value thereof. They support the ending of the Federal Reserve, and citing that the founders would have found it unconstitutional. They cite many papers and letters from the founding of the First National Bank in the beginning of it as proof of this. As social stances, they believe all Americans have the right to practice their religion as they see fit, which is, of course, reliant within the Bill of Rights. They believe in the privatization of healthcare and Social Security, and Social Security being phased out eventually because it is being used as a rainy day fund for politicians. They believe in the Second Amendment, and the federal government's only concern with drug is stopping its transportation over its borders. With environmental policies, they have absolutely nothing referring to any environmental policies. Come to think of it, there's not really much in the amendments of the Constitution that they would be able to back up a plan. Natural defense opposes any form of world government such as the UN and opposes U.S. participation in these issues. This is one of the only opinions that they have on their website. They are very against any form of national government. It is the primary objective of the national government to provide for the common defense. They oppose the disarmament of America's military and defense infrastructure and believe that it cannot easily be rebuilt. They oppose the president's ability to deploy troops without declaration of war. Of course, the president can send in troops for a amount of 60 days without congressional approval, and they are against this. And they are against many of the growths in executive power that have happened since the founding of the United States. But they call for a state-of-the-art military on land, sea, and space, which is vague but sounds cool. Space. In international politics, they believe, this goes back to the UN policies, they believe that the United States should not be a part of any global government that might interfere with the American sovereignty. So they are also against things like NATO as well, and believe that if a treaty gives the U.S. no protection, the U.S. has nothing to gain from it, then the U.S. should not be a part of it. An example of this would be some of the treaties that we have with, say, Japan and South Korea, and it is saying that if anybody attacks us or them, then we will be at war with the enemy of that country. However, in our instance, nobody is most likely going to attack America. It is more an excuse, not necessarily an excuse, but a reason for America getting involved in any of the wars and to protect Japan and South Korea, even though the United States does not necessarily get anything out of that protection-wise. They believe that I just read that one. They are vehemently against Agenda 21 of the UN Charter. The exact, it's kind of, the UN Charter is fairly complicated, but Agenda 21 basically refers to an environmental protection clause, which they believe takes away private possession of land and private property. They have no student wing and no youth wing, just relative to their size. They don't have much need for that at the moment. So with my thoughts on the party, what I like about the Constitution Party, well, when you look at the Constitution Party, there's a lot to like. The parties and beliefs are true to the Constitution, and so are they. They believe in it and will fight for the rights of the Constitution. There's not much more to the party. The entire purpose is to protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that's something that a lot of people can get behind. It's something that, as Americans, we really value. But it's kind of what I don't like about the Constitution Party that gets on it. Reading their website, one thing that I don't directly reference in my paper is they border on the realm of conspiracy theorists at times. I know that it's not always nice to call a political group or anybody conspiracy theorists because of that, but they get a little out there with some of their beliefs about global government and the plans of the UN. So, yeah, what I don't like about the Constitution Party was, going through their website, it was clear that the party is very against any kind of global union. They are for American sovereignty and only American sovereignty when it comes to foreign policy. Whereas I believe global cooperation to make the world better for everyone, not necessarily a global government that would take away any nation's sovereignty, but a level of global cooperation that can make foreign and global issues more manageable, that the UN is the purpose of the UN primarily. Although I do not agree with everything the UN does, I do recognize the importance of a lot of what they do. And what the party could do to better their chances of winning, the party's main problems come with recognition. This party has a very simple belief system that I feel a lot of people could get behind. The only problem is it's relatively unknown to the general public. In order for this party to succeed, they need to get more recognition by the American people. And that concludes my paper on the Constitution Party of the United States. Have a good day.